Welcome back to 360 Success Podcast. I'm your host. Today, we're going to be diving into one of the most important mindsets out there. The difference between those who start strong and those who finish stronger. The topic today is the long game to becoming the future you. And that's not a very popular game because it requires you to hit and hold. If you've been working on your habits, refining your routines, and chasing consistency, this episode is for you. Because real success isn't about quick wins. Yes, stacking quick wins is important to build some momentum, but it's really about who you are becoming over time and what those habits evolve and develop into. And it's about understanding what I call the arc of achievement. Now, I didn't coin that term, but we're going to dive into that. We live in a society that worships speed, fast results, instant gratification, quick money, 15 minutes or 5 points or 3 points to master anything. But here's the truth. Almost every overnight success you've ever seen that is truly successful and not just a charade took years of quiet preparation. The world celebrates the highlight reel, but the real work happens in the quiet mornings, those lonely long nights, and the months where no one's clapping. I call it the long, dark night of overnight success. See, quick success is exciting, but it's fragile. The long game is slower and often boring, and it feels like you're drudging along and pushing through, but it sticks because the long game builds character. It changes who you are, and that character will help you sustain the achievement and the success once you get there. We've all seen it. People that become successful, movie stars and all this stuff, and all this, their life is in shambles. I mean, the money didn't ruin them. They just could not sustain that type of life. It took all of their problems and it amplified them. And I can't remember who it was that said that money doesn't create those problems. It just amplifies what's already there. So let's start with a simple truth. You can't become your future self using current habits. The future you, the version that's centered, consistent, and confident, is being built through everyday choices that most people overlook. Every decision you make either builds identity or it buries it. It's either polishing, affecting, reframing, or it's covering it up and burying it under something else. So ask this question daily. What decisions today would make my future self say thank you? That's the heartbeat of the long game. Aligning your actions today with who you want to be and who you want to become tomorrow. Now let's introduce something powerful, the arc of achievement. Every long-term success stories follows a similar curve. There are 4 stages, and it's the foundation, where they're doing the work and building a foundation of their business or organization. And the next step is the friction step. Just imagine an arc growing and up and to the right and kind of leveling out. So you start with your foundation, you're building. And then as you start to grow, you have all this friction, this resistance to growth. Kind of like when a rocket takes off, it takes a huge amount of energy and force to overcome gravity, to overcome the friction of the atmosphere until you can finally, which leads us to the next step, break through. And then once you break through, you build that momentum that we talked about in the flywheel effect, talking about good to great, Jim Collins. I almost said Phil Collins, Jim Collins. You get in that flow state where things happen easier with less energy and they continue to go. So stage 1, that foundation. That's the setup season, the learning, the building, the preparing. You don't see results yet, but you're laying the bricks where it will matter later. That foundation is all important. Stage 2, that friction. This is where most people quit. This is where things get messy, results lag, way behind your effort. It's kind of like you feel like you're pushing uphill, but this stage builds resilience and discipline. You also see the same thing. We've talked about it a few episodes ago where the gyms are packed until about, the middle to end of February. Most people's new habits and new lifestyles don't last till Valentine's Day. But you have to push through the friction to build what you need to build and become who you need to become, and then breakthrough. Momentum starts to click. The work starts paying off, and you begin to notice shifts. Your body changes. Your mind starts to clear. Your focus sharpens. This is progress becoming visible in your life. Stage 4 is flow, mastery. The habits that once took all your effort now feel just natural. You move with rhythm and purpose. And remember, everyone wants flow, but those who respect foundation and survive friction are the only ones who ever reached it. That's the arc of achievement. That's the shape of the long game. So really, patience is the secret weapon that keeps you moving along that arc. Think of it as your long game fuel. When you don't see progress, most people slow down or they stop. They give up. But that waiting period, the gap between effort and result, that's where your roots grow deeper. That's where you're setting yourself up for the biggest and the best success. Fast success is brittle. Listen to me. Fast success, overnight success is fragile and brittle. Patient success is permanent. Patience doesn't mean passively, it means purposefully persistent. Knowing the process is still working, having faith in it even when you can't see it. Here's the challenge I give everyone I coach. Stop thinking in weeks and start thinking in years. What if you focused on where you would like to be in 3 years instead of how you're going to feel in 3 weeks? In 3 years, your body could be stronger, your business stable, your relationships deeper, the peace in your mind could be unshakable. If you simply stayed consistent 80% of the time, no one can do 100% of the time, but 80% of the time, you would start to see infinite possibilities and infinite changes. But no one wins the long game by sprinting. You can break it up into sprints to achieve the 3-year plan, but it's like 90-day sprints that you hear people talking about. Those are like little individual arcs of achievement that build up to one big arc of achievement. But you literally win by pacing yourself purposefully. And when you study people who sustain greatness, you'll notice they've lived the same arc of achievement or multiple arcs of achievement. They built a foundation, they endured friction, they earned a breakthrough, and they stayed humble enough to remain in flow. That's not luck. That's longevity. If there's one thing you can take from today's episode, it's this. You cannot hack the long game. There are no shortcuts or no life hacks to it. You can't hack the long game. You can only honor it. Build your foundation, persist through the friction, celebrate your breakthrough, and protect your flow, because who you're becoming matters more than what you've achieved. Thanks for tuning in to 360 Success Podcast. If this message resonated, please share it with someone who's stuck in their friction stage and maybe they're thinking about quitting. Remind them slow doesn't mean stuck, it means strengthening. I'll see you next week, and we're going to explore how consistency compounds, the natural step in your arc of achievement. Until then, stay patient, stay focused, and keep building your future self and a life worth living.